Proverbs 19 opens up a question that is highly debated, very upsetting to a lot of people of faith. And let's talk about it from a legal standpoint. So the Proverbs 16:19 reads that it's better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. So this is a picture that's kind of warning you like, hey, if you got to do business or make money through the ways of the prideful, it's better for you to be humble with the poor. And the question, it begs the question, is humility the same as poverty? When Yahusha taught on this particular principle, he taught that you'll always have the poor with you. The poor you will have with you always. So, what is he saying? What is the law teaching us about the relationship between humility, poverty, and wealth? To understand this relationship, we have to examine biblical precedent concerning particular practices that are hated by the Most High. He hates how the rulers of the world, how the ones who are called the wicked or the prideful, how they built their wealth by oppressing the poor. This proverb is pointing to the practice of oppressing the poor. For many years, I worked as an attorney with Atlanta Legal Aid. And at Legal Aid, you see this type of practice on full display. Wherever you see payday loans, right? Payday loans are a type of predatory lending that are legal up to a certain extent under the state's code, but are absolutely oppressive. The title loans are another one, y'all. Those things are creatures of hell. I had so many clients who they borrowed the money against their title to get out of a pinch with another situation, and they ended up paying more than what the car was worth by the time they ever would get to pay off the title loan, because the way that that loan is set up, it is set up to kind of like renew a pawn. Like they play with legal fiction and the use of words to escape the scrutiny of being an illegal lender or a predatory lender. The craftiness of these types of business models that target poor people, that target people who are already on the struggle bus, that take advantage of their ignorance or that take advantage of their pre-existing hardship. These are the types of practices that the biblical law prohibits. The biblical law prohibits oppressing the poor. So it is not saying that you have to be poor to be humble. No, it's not saying that at all. In fact, when you understand the royal priesthood, when you look at the construction of the temple, when you observe how Solomon's house was set up and the treasury of the king, then you understand Israel had plenty money. The king had plenty money. David was not found wicked to have a treasury set up full of gold and silver and precious things that Solomon used to build the temple and Solomon's house. David was not called prideful or oppressive or wicked to have that type of treasury. Solomon was known for having great wealth, and he was a businessman. Solomon was securing international business deals when he went and he traded to receive lumber for the building of the temple. He was shrewd in his business dealings, and as a result, he amassed great wealth. The scripture is not telling us, family, that you have to be poor to be humble and that having money is prideful. It is saying that the wicked and their pridefulness take advantage of the poor and continue to build their wealth by oppressing the poor. There is a difference. And a lot of times, people of faith get real touchy around the conversation about money. But at the end of the day, the king controlled the treasury. The king had to feed a military. The king had to provide for the nation's protection. So being humble is not being anti-wealth. Being humble is not saying, "Oh, I'm poor and lowly." No, 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 no. Y'all, I could think of a lot of these types of practices when it comes to the types of advertising that you hear on black radio, the types of law firms that target the hunger and the need of inner city or poorer or lower income black communities, and it pisses me off. But at the same time, I'm very pro business. I'm very pro wealth creation, because the scripture says that the Most High gives us power to what? To create wealth, and that Judah and the work of Judah's hands will be sufficient for him, meaning you will be given the power to create wealth. Poverty is actually a curse. Poverty is not the Most High's plan for us. He is the king. This is what Yahushua was saying in Matthew 6:33, when he was like, look, if the king makes sure that the birds eat and they don't even work, if the king has the flowers of the field dressed in more splendor than the King Solomon himself, then how much more will he take care of you? Yahushua was showing us that we are children of the king. When you look at the construction of the tabernacle and of the temple, it was a picture of opulence. The Most High is not a king of poverty. He is a king of more than enough. He is a king of abundance. But this law is forbidding and prohibiting you ever seeking to build earthly wealth and riches at the expense of the oppressed, of the poor, of the widow, of the fatherless. The biblical law shows that there was no hunger in the land, because those who had wealth, those who had means, those who had land, they were instructed, do not gather all of your produce from your fields. You leave some so that the fatherless and the widows, the poor among you, can come and they not suffer hunger. They can come and glean from your field and they can be fed. The actual economic pattern was that if you went into a neighbor's field and you were hungry, you were allowed, you were permitted under biblical law to take in enough to satisfy your hunger. You were forbidden from filling up a bag, a take home to go box. You couldn't go into your neighbor's field and fill you up a to go box, but you could satisfy your hunger, because the kingdom is about anti-poverty. It is about anti-hunger. It is about those who have means and wealth being mindful of those who are oppressed and who lack. So humility is not the same as poverty. And I am going in on this concept because we are the children of the king. He is not a king of lack. He is the source of all abundance and overflow. And when we understand that, we live not only in spiritual abundance, but wisdom also says of herself in the book of Proverbs, wisdom says that with me comes riches and long life. So we got to balance these things. Again, a lot of spookification and a lot of misteaching of the scriptures have led us to draw conclusions that are against the law. The king is embarrassed for his children not to have. He is embarrassed when we make it look like he can't take care of us. That is not humility. That is called reproach. And when you understand that your father is the whole source of all life, the king of abundance, the highest power, then you are not lacking any good thing, because the blessings of the Most High makes rich and adds no sorrow. But if you are building your wealth by practicing oppression of the poor, oppression of the vulnerable, this is an illegal, lawless practice that will bring consequences to your life. So the proverb is, it's better for you to be in poverty than to practice the gaining of wealth through illegal means. I hope this makes sense and blesses and encourages you. Y'all, we do better together. Let's build the kingdom with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge of the king's intention, the king's law. His government was set upon the shoulders of Yahusha for us to advance his kingdom, his ways, his principles, his heart towards his people. And his plans for us are good, to prosper us and to bring us success and into an expected end. Let's know that. And let's not allow half truths to rob us of what belongs to us according to the king's heart for his children.